Hi, welcome to our first episode of Mental Health TV. I'm Jim Haney, the Executive Director of Montana's Peer Network. I'm joined here by Julio.
Hi there. I'm with Mental Health America of Montana. We're a nonprofit based out of Bozeman, Montana.
And so this is our first episode, as I said, and we're going to come to you with all kinds of episodes about different resources in Montana around mental health, suicide prevention, peer support, recovery. What else, Julio? What else are we going to cover on this show?
Also, we work with AmeriCorps Vista quite a bit. We have AmeriCorps Vista named Sarah, who's going to talk about a couple of projects around suicide prevention and mental health stigma. The one project that we talk about a lot is called PRISM, which is a project to create art pieces to promote the suicide prevention hotline here in Montana.
Yeah,
so it's a great project.
So, Julio, tell the audience a little bit about Mental Health America and just in general, sort of what Mental Health America is all about.
Well, I started with MHA, call it MHA for short, in 2010, right out of college, and I worked there as AmeriCorps Vista, and since then I've done a lot of work with them around the Montana Warm Line, and that's one of the projects they do. Along with the Warm Line, they do the bipolar support group, which is telephone-based, and we're looking to do a lot of different distance kind of connections through Skype and things like that for type of support groups for people that have bipolar disorder and also people that are with depression and general mental health conditions. But right now the big thing I'm working on is the Montana Warm Line, which is a peer support line, different from a normal crisis line in that we would take calls from people that aren't in crisis per se, hence the warm piece of it, not a hotline but a warm line. And it's staffed by people that have been through the mental health system themselves here in Montana and are in recovery with their own mental illness.
So
and
peers.
Peers, exactly. And you're with the Montana Peer Network, so it's sort of the same deal. And it's just a line that's open Monday through Friday from 4 to 10, and Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 10, in which you can call in and talk to someone who's been through the mental health system, may have some idea of what it's like to be in your shoes, so to speak, and they give an ear to hear for people that want someone to talk to, maybe be isolated and whatnot.
That's great.
So,
That's great. And how long has the Warm Line been active here in Montana?
We're coming up on year 4, so since 2008. So we're still in its infancy, so to speak. Always looking for volunteers, so folks, if you're out there and want to volunteer, it's a great way to do it. And you can be anywhere in Montana. We do training via Skype or in person, depending on where you're from. And the training is, I don't want to say it's very, very difficult, but it takes a bit of your mental and emotional health to be a part of this training.
Sure.
Because we ask you to talk to people who are isolated because they're dealing with sometimes severe mental health illnesses. And it takes a lot of care and concern to be a part of the Warm Line. So if that's let's say that you fit the bill, that's something we'd ask you to contribute with.
And they can get in touch with you how, Julio?
You can go to our website, which is mhaofmt.org. is the fastest way to get a hold of me, and there's the About Us section there. You can reach us by phone too. We're at 406-587-7774. Or else you can email me, which is also off the website as well.
That's great. And I've been through the training, and I think it's a little intense, and you definitely have to be in the right place in your own recovery and ready for it. But I think in general, the Warm Line, it's a wonderful thing because just what you said, I mean, it reaches people who are isolated. In Montana, we have all these rural communities, and they may not have services. And so this is something that they can utilize right from their home.
Yeah, exactly. And I just want to put it out there, it's not to supplant or replace mental health counseling of any kind or anything like that. It's just an added layer of support there that maybe you don't have it in your own town. It's just another way to connect with people.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So let's share a little bit about what Mental Health TV is about.
Well, I feel we've gone back and forth about what we think it means, and I think it's a way to promote ideas through the peer network, so to speak, and ways to promote mental health that isn't popular these days. Things like stigma, things like mental health recovery, maybe some things in the mental health system as well. My stake in this, I think, is to really promote resources that are already in Montana that aren't well known. Things like the Warm Line, for example, things like the Help Center in Bozeman, Voices of Hope in Great Falls, things of that nature.
Absolutely, and I think for Montana's Peer Network, we're an organization, a nonprofit that's made up of people who are in recovery, and we like to say people who have used mental health services, may use mental health services, may benefit from using mental health services.
Yeah.
But kind of the same idea that you were touching on with the warm line, people that are in recovery and want to network with others to find out, well, what else is happening in Montana? And I know when you and I started talking about this last year, it was like, yeah, wouldn't that be great if we could get on TV and talk about these things and promote the work that we're doing across the state, but really be able to blast that out to people and share information about events, different resources that are available, and really start to connect people together and have guests come on.
Yes.
And do interviews with them and find out about what they're doing in their community.
Yeah, and here we are 1 year later actually on TV.
Yeah.
It's kind of a great fruition. And you know, we've been doing a lot of different things. Podcasts, we've been a part of that a lot lately, which are great ways to get in touch with people. We're also trying to start to do webinars to promote mental health techniques to counselors or therapists that are already in practice is another thing we like to work on. There's a whole plethora of things that we have going on, but right now I think just to promote resources is a pretty viable thing to do.
Absolutely. I know in traveling around the state, you know, if I'm in Missoula and I find out, oh wow, there's like really great stuff going here. You know, Winds of Change is doing some really great program with their peers and employment. But that doesn't translate over to Billings. Billings never hears about it. And so I love to be able to have this vehicle to share that with the people in Billings and vice versa. Or if it's in Havre, you know, how do you share that with people in Livingston? And so, like you said, I think we've been doing podcasts and now having TV and really being able to get out to people to share these kinds of things that are out there to help reduce stigma and connect people together to resources and information.
Well, one thing I want to go ahead and plug is we're having a conference coming up September 28th. It's going to be a conference on the unhappy topic of childhood trauma. We're going to have 3 speakers. The first notable speaker we have is Jamie Walton. She works for a place called the Wayne Foundation, which is an organization dedicated to preventing child trafficking. And she herself was a child sex worker, not of her own choice, of course. And she's going to speak a lot about her place in recovery, what role mental health played in her recovery, and also things she's doing now to work out, to get kids off the streets and to get them in. And her goal is to create a house for kids who are in childhood trafficking, and to be a part of something positive instead of being in the streets and being victimized, unfortunately.
That's great. It's a difficult subject matter.
Yes.
But one that needs to be talked about.
And it is not something that people like hearing about. When we first brought the conference up, we received a lot of, well, I don't want to say negative reviews, but a lot of, do you really want to talk about that kind of topic here in Montana? It's not something that we enjoy talking about. I mean, best case scenario, we wouldn't have to talk about it because it wouldn't exist.
Right.
But here we are.
That's right.
Unfortunately, it's something we have to work with.
Yeah.
So Jamie's going to come out and speak in the early morning. And then we're going to have Marilyn Berger-Zimmerman, who's going to be the main speaker. She works out of the University of Montana on native trauma and childhood trauma as well. And we're also going to have a lunchtime speaker. And her name's escaping me right now, but she works for the Justice Department here in Helena.
Oh, that's great.
So it's going to be a good time.
Yeah. And really, I think if we want to get to stigma, the only way to do that is to bring in speakers and talk about it.
Yeah.
It's just like mental health and mental health recovery. And I know whenever I speak to people, I always tell them, you know, you may have a diagnosis, but recovery is possible. And the only way we're going to get to that point is by talking about it, and by sharing our stories and getting out there and saying, yeah, I went through this. You know, I was hospitalized because of my illness, but I'm getting better and I'm working at it. And so I think it's great, Mental Health America having a conference and, you know, going against the grain even. Well, yeah. You have to.
Well, yeah, we'll see how it'll go. I'm really excited about it, and I hope we get a good turnout just for the information piece of it. We're not in it to make money, obviously. We are a nonprofit, and we are in it just to basically break even on everything we do.
Sure.
So the conference is $100. That includes lunch and 6 CEUs, and you can find out more about that off of our website, mhafmt.org.
And it's the end of September, right? September.
The 28th is going to be in Great Falls at the Manfield Convention Center.
Great.
And you know, there's been a lot of information there. There'll be other nonprofits that'll be promoting their information.
Yep.
We usually have some pretty great turnout for knowledge partners and whatnot.
It's great. So another conference coming up November 1st and 2nd is the Montana Mental Health Conference. A lot of people know it as the NAMI Conference. but it's actually the Montana Mental Health Conference,
Yeah.
November 1st and 2nd here in Helena.
Oh, great.
And that I was there last year. We did a presentation on peer support, and it's another really good conference.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of you've got providers and family members, peers, or consumers there. A great place to pick up lots of information.
And they usually have some fantastic speakers. I remember last year they had a gentleman. I forgot of his last name, but his first name was Kevin, and he was one of the survivors that actually survived diving off the Golden Gate Bridge.
Right, talking about suicide, right?
So that's a dynamic speakers, and
Yeah.
great information.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good conference. And the in October 10th through the 14th, is actually the National Alternatives Conference, Alternatives 2012 in Portland, and that's a completely peer organized conference. So it's consumers putting on all the workshops, all the presenters. Last year I was able to go, and there were over 700 people there. And it was wonderful, lots of workshops, and I know there's scholarships available for that. People can go to the Alternatives 2012 website to find out more. So
Great.
that's excellent.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I know we want to talk about some future episodes at some point too.
Yeah.
I know we're looking for guest speakers and whatnot as well.
Yeah,
People that want to promote their activities.
Absolutely.
Things of that nature.
Yeah, I think we've already touched on some of them. So I think suicide prevention and peer support. I think youth activities, something that we're looking at, and RAP. I know we're going to be shooting an episode. We've got some people coming to talk about wellness recovery action planning.
Oh, great.
And some future episodes. So yeah, anybody who would like to be on the show, please get a hold of us, 406-551-1058, and we can set you up for an interview. So I want to share one more project that we're working on that we're just launching.
Almost forgot about that.
Yeah, I know, it's like so new. We're like right here. We've got the website up,
Yes.
and it's well, why don't you share it?
Well, the project is called It's Okay to Get Help, and the website is itsokaytogethelp.org. And the whole project is based upon a cyclical process of mental health recovery and volunteerism. So how it breaks down is a peer would volunteer X many hours for an organization of their choosing, mostly nonprofit type organizations, and in exchange for that volunteerism, they are credited an hour or X many hours of counseling from a provider who participates in the program.
Yeah.
So the whole idea is to create healthier communities, basically, is the idea. And
Absolutely.
And as of right now, it's in its infancy, like we talked about now. We're looking for counselors throughout Montana that want to be involved, and also peers that want to be involved, and organizations too that want to be involved. If you're coming from a university system like University of Montana or Montana State University that have big projects going on that you need volunteers for, and we have people that can fill that role in exchange for counseling, which can make themselves healthier, that would be great. And
Absolutely.
these are folks that unfortunately can't afford mental health services on their own,
Right.
without insurance, without Medicaid, without MHSP, and they're looking to get some support and help.
Yeah, I think for me and for Montana's Peer Network, that's the big issue that we see is that it's not, for some people, not that they don't want to go and get help or go to counseling, it's that they can't afford to. And so with this, I think this is an avenue where they can go and get counseling services, and in return for that, do some service work, some volunteering in their community, which helps the community, which we know helps in recovery. And at the same time, we know counselors, a lot of them already do pro bono work. So they're already giving away the time that could be put towards this program. And we could create, as you said, more healthy individuals, healthier communities. So I would encourage you to get in touch with us if you're a provider or if you're somebody who would like to go out and volunteer and is looking for counseling services. It's okay to get help.org, and it's all spelled out. And all the information is on the website. We have forms on there where they can sign up. And we're just getting the program going, so we're looking for counselors who want to participate, and we'll post you up on there. And we're going to be promoting this in all our future episodes.
Yeah.
So it's exciting because it's something new for Montana, kind of like this show.
Yes, right. Very much
And
so.
we're just looking to create that circular paradigm of health where everybody's contributing all the way around.
And it's like the diagram on this website. It's a circular paradigm. And just to point out, it's okay to get help is spelled ITSOKAY. TOHELP. There's the A and the Y, and they're like not just okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, I want to push that out there.
So we are just about out of time, Julio.
Okay.
That was a fast episode, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a year for 15 minutes. I guess that's how it goes, right?
Yeah, yeah. So tune in to Mental Health TV. We're going to be airing episodes each month on different issues around mental health recovery and wellness in Montana, talking about different events and having guests on the show. Thank you for tuning in. Julio, thanks for being here. And
you're welcome, Jim, and I hope to see you and everyone else again next time.
Thanks. Hi, welcome to another episode of Mental Health TV. I'm Jim Haney, the Executive Director of Montana's Peer Network, and today we're going to be talking about wellness recovery action planning. And we have a couple of guests with us here today. We have Michelle Lewis and we have Robin Johnson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us, Jim.
Yeah, so I know both of you are well versed in RAP, as we like to say. So let's start off by telling our viewers, what is RAP?
RAP actually stands for Wellness Recovery Action Planning, and it's actually a plan for recovery and wellness. It's structured, and it's written by the individual, where they, implement strategies to reduce distressed feelings, and it actually can eliminate them.
Okay. So when we talk about the individual writing the plan, so who would write that plan? Who would this be geared towards?
Well, our peers, obviously, and consumers, but it's been used for a lot of other different venues as well. There's actually 7 sections to the plan, and it starts out with wellness tools, and that's kind of the place where we put all of our strategies and the things that we like to do and the things that help us feel well and the things that help us stay well when we don't feel well or get better. And then there's the section on daily maintenance, which is actually 3 parts. And so the first part of daily maintenance is kind of what are we like when we're well? And if we haven't had the chance to be well, what would we like to be when we're well? How would we like to see ourselves?
Yeah.
And then there's the things that we do every day to help keep ourselves well. And this is usually a short list, nothing overbearing, because we use this every part of our plan. And then the third part is what might we do, to reduce the stress in our lives. Nobody likes to go buy the groceries or pay the bills, but those are things we have to do. So.
Correct.
And then after the daily maintenance plan comes triggers. And triggers are the things that are outside of ourselves that may cause us to feel unwell. They're normal reactions to everyday events and circumstances. So if we don't take care of them, they could lead us to feel unwell. Okay. And then the next part of the plan is the early warning signs, or those things that are internal, that could be really subtle and may not even be recognized by ourselves. This is a place where we really enlist the help of our supporters a lot of times.
Okay.
And then the next part of the plan is when things are breaking down. This is a time when things actually may become, dangerous or even serious. So our plan of action there is really narrowed down into a list of things we must do, and with fewer choices. And then, of course, unfortunately, there are times when people slip into crisis.
Okay.
And so we have a crisis plan which has numerous parts, and then we have the post-crisis plan that helps us re-enter into our lives and timetable to resume our responsibilities. Okay. A lot of times people mistake RAP for a crisis plan. And really the first thing to remember is that RAP is a plan for wellness, and it's individualized and written by the person.
Right. And that's really the key, I think. I've been through a few RAP workshops now, and it's written by the individual themselves, right? Instead of somebody writing it for you and saying, well, this is probably what you need to do to keep yourself well. The individual takes the responsibility and actually writes the plan.
Right, and it's completely voluntary. That's another nice thing about it, is that it's you know, you decide or I decide, the person writing the plan, you know, if they're going to do the plan, what parts of the plan they're going to do, and you know, who they're going to show it to, and you know, if it's going to be something that they show people, and who they show it to and who they don't. You know.
So who developed RAP, or Wellness Recovery Action Planning? Well,
actually, RAP was developed in a couple of different stages. First, being the inspiration, Catherine Strauss Copeland, who actually spent some time in the hospital, which is Mary Ellen Copeland's mother. Mary Ellen Copeland actually interviewed peers through survey, and so although Mary Ellen Copeland developed RAP, she credits a lot of the work of the plan to working with the peers. This is a peer-driven you know, peer-driven program. But in 1997, when what she actually did was she had these workshops, and in 1997, when she was doing the workshops based on the information she found in the surveys, she got through her workshop, and someone actually said, hey, this is great stuff, but I've been in the hospital all around the country, so how do I implement this into my life? And so those 30 to 40 people stayed behind and made a commitment to write a structure and come up with the structure. And when she felt they had found one, then that's when she created the plan and actually wrote the book that you just were showing, the Wellness Recovery Action Plan book. So after that was done, they needed to have people trained as facilitators, and then she went forth to write the curriculum and also ask a lot of people about the values and ethics that are standard components of the curriculum for training facilitators.
That's great. That's great. So, Robin, let's hear from you. What makes RAP special?
Well, you've hit on what makes it special, and that is that I wrote it. My RAP, I wrote. You know, I decide what to put in it. They're my triggers. It's my action plan. It's a living document, so I can change it as I learn new skills and new strategies. It changes as I change and I grow. It changes. And so you kind of hit on what's most special about it is it's mine. And, you know, I look back to my original RAP that I wrote 7 years ago and compare it to my RAP now, and there's all sorts of changes. I had no animals, for one thing, 7 years ago, and I have 4 members to my family now, and that's included. It's an important part of my recovery plan. Is, you know, if I was to get to a crisis plan, to my crisis plan, then that would be included, would be the care of my pets.
And so it sounds like a lot of flexibility, and as we grow in our recovery, our plan grows.
Yes,
or changes or evolves along the way.
Yes.
I really think that the thing I like about it the most is that I'm assumed to be. It's not a question of whether I learn to be or earn the right to be the expert on myself. And so nobody is teaching this to me. It's a tool that I have learned about and use as I see fit. And I really like the RAP plan because it teaches us about several different ways of advocating and things for ourselves to get what we want and need. And so that's one of the key parts for me. And the idea that we communicate as facilitators that recovery is limitless, not only possible, but limitless. And that's just a huge thing for me.
Yeah, and that really is the message, that recovery is possible, right? And that's what I think Montana's Peer Network's about. I know Mental Health America, that's what this show is about. It's like recovery is possible, and here's a recovery tool that you might choose to use you might choose, or at least go check out, well, what is RAP? What is that all about? I think in going to the workshops, like I said, I've been to a couple of them, and I see so many possibilities of how it could be used in life, and things that seem sort of routine or daily maintenance, right? But then there's other things that I know in my own recovery that I just do now that I don't really think about anymore. But there was a time when I had to, where I had to think about that, and I had to make myself this list and say, okay, I need to do this every day because this is what's keeping me well.
Well, and you can find yourself not doing real well, and you can go back and look at it and you go, that's something I haven't done for a long time that used to help me.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a good reminder.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So let's share about the concepts of RAP. What are just some of the concepts that sort of flow throughout?
Well, there are 5 key concepts,
Yep.
and it starts with hope. And as you mentioned earlier, or Michelle mentioned earlier, it goes on the pretense that, or it believes that recovery is limitless.
Right.
You know, that we can, our
We can
recovery,
grow.
we can grow,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
that so many of us have been given dire predictions for the course of our
Sure.
futures.
That's right.
And we've been asked to be content with managing our illness or coping with our illness, and we're now being given hope that we can go beyond managing and coping.
That's right.
And
And live a full life.
live a full life.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Recovery
absolutely.
is hope.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning, and we need to enrich it and
Right.
hold it and go with that. And the second key concept is personal responsibility. And we have to take personal responsibility ourselves. Nobody can do this for us on our journey towards wellness.
Right.
Yes. And the third, as far as personal responsibility, when Mary Ellen Copeland was doing her research, she found that there were 2 types of people. There were the people that found reasons outside of themselves for their illness. There was some blame that they would find. And then there were people that were busy looking for ways to get well. You
Sure.
know, they were trying this and they were trying that. And those people that were trying different things and eager toward moving towards wellness, they had more life satisfaction.
Yeah.
You know, and they were the ones that moved towards wellness faster than people that were, you know, preoccupied with why they were where they are.
Right.
You
Right.
know, stuck where they're at.
Right.
And the third key concept is education.
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 Yes.
Education.
Yeah.
And we're big on education at
Yes.
Montana's Peer Network.
Yes,
And there's
absolutely.
a lot of sources for education there.
Yes.
With the podcasts and webinars and
Yeah.
there's your libraries, and education can be so many things. It's not just higher education.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can get all sorts of direction in your life in regards to your relationships, your treatment, your careers. You can go all sorts of information out there.
Absolutely. I think just getting connected with Montana's Peer Network, I mean, just that in itself, you can learn so much from each other, just being connected.
Yes.
You know, the newsletter, like you said, the podcast, the websites, talking to each other. We have conference calls. We have weekly support groups you can call into. I mean, just that alone, and that was, I know a lot of people, just what you said, they think it's only higher education when you say education, or it's only about finding out about my medication, the side effects of my medication. It's really much broader than that. So what's the next concept?
Self-advocacy.
Self-advocacy.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's, you know, going for it.
That's right.
Going
That's right.
for it with courage and perseverance and determination, and going for it can be whatever you feel that you want or you need or you deserve.
That's right.
And so often, I think when we have had a history in the mental health system, we forget that we have rights and
That's right.
we have needs, and that it's okay to ask for those needs to be addressed.
Yeah.
And self-advocacy is an important tool for our
Absolutely.
wellness.
Yeah.
Very important.
Yeah.
And the final one is support, and we all need support in our in our journey.
Yeah.
We need support from family, friends, and our healthcare providers.
Right.
You know, that's important.
Yeah. Yeah. Peer support is really only one piece of the bigger puzzle.
Yes, yes, but you know, the peer support is getting it's much needed attention right now, you know, and it's growing, and that's such a good thing.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of the hope comes from in RAP, is peers we're helping each other, and
That's
we,
right.
you know, inspire each other with our own stories and our own growth. And another thing with the support, you know, it's not just support through our difficult times, it's support through positive changes we make too.
That's
You
right.
know, positive decisions, risks that we venture out for. We
That's
need
right.
that support there
Absolutely.
too.
That's great. Well, we have about 40 seconds left here. So let's leave people with where can they get information about RAP, support groups, workshops, that sort of thing.
Well, the first place I'd like to direct everyone to is Montana's Peer Network, and they can get to that website, and I believe they've shown this website, but mtpeernetwork.org, or they can get in touch with you at the telephone line of 406-551-1058. If they do want to know a little bit more about Mary Ellen's work, they can also go to mentalhealthrecovery.org or copelandcenter.com.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah, those are great resources, and I think you know, at Montana's Peer Network, we're really committed to RAP, and we put on workshops on an ongoing basis in all kinds of communities across the state, and we really encourage you to get in touch with us and find out where our next one is. We put these on usually at no charge or very little cost at all. We really want people to get there. We're trying to spread the word. And so if you're interested in wellness recovery action planning, get a hold of us, 406-551-1058. Be happy to set you up at the next workshop. And with that, we are out of time, and we want to thank you for tuning in again to Mental Health TV. Please stay tuned for more episodes. And thank you to my guests, Michelle Lewis and Robin Johnson. Thank you.
thank you,
Thanks
Jim.
for having us.